Next point is under the network layer is regarding the exposure about the distributed ledger and blockchain technology. Here, what is this all about? So, how we are going to integrate the blockchain or distributed ledger to the existing system. So, as we can see here, the banking industry benefit very much have a beneficial from the integration of the blockchain technology in the operations. For example, like normally financial institutions and banks, they will only operate during the business hours. So let's say 5 days in a week. So there is a limitation day. Like if we deposit the check in, let's say, for Friday, maybe you can take the money after the weekend, when the Monday. So even if you do the transaction during the business hours, regarding the massive volume of the transaction, it could be delay of the transaction as well. So meanwhile, if we integrate, or by integrating the blockchain into the system, the consumer can see the transactional process in history, and as quick as maybe 5 to 10 minutes only. So basically, the time will be shortened for the consumer to by using the technology of blockchain. So we also believe that education and training will help in order to expose the consumer, or expose the normal user that don't know about the blockchain. So this is because the knowledge and also education is the base point of the integration of the distributed ledger in the existing system. Because when they have the exposure and when they have the knowledge about the distributed ledger and also blockchain, they will be aware about the advantages and also ready to support the advance of the technology. So and the next point is regarding the would you violate any laws while storing the data in the blockchain? So regarding the violation laws in regards with the blockchain, our government actually also can benefit from the private blockchain by utilizing them to enhance the data security against the hackers and can reduce the corruptions. So the distribution ledger of the blockchain can make the hacking system more difficult than the centralized system. So all the data, including the personal data, the financial data, and also the most crucial informations, can be protected and will be hard to be breached. So as there are so many potential area for the blockchain, so the regulator will have a proper tracks on the activities of the technology operations. So according to the police, like the issues of financial scam in Malaysia, it has risen to about 379 million of the total loss from the financial scam. So it really show here how important the government should play roles to reduce the scamming and also the problem regarding banking sector. Yeah. So here we also can see that this is a very good opportunity to Malaysia to have a discussion and to move into the blockchain technology, as for example, as taking the distributed ledger as the one of the initiative to improve the banking sector in the Malaysia. So Malaysia also towards the establishment of digital bank, as Bank Negara has issued the exposure draft of licensing framework for digital bank at the end of 2019. So that's all regarding the network layer. I will pass to the Ummu.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ummu Hani. So today I will present on the application layer in order to access the blockchain. So first of all, right now banking industry are still using the traditional identity verification, which is based on the humans interaction and physical document. There are many issues by the locals banking industry. So here what we are trying to do is we want to transform the current system, which is centralized system, with the decentralized system that are using the blockchain. So this system is through blockchain. We will not longer rely on the physical identifications method, because we think that banking industry need to have a future's growth in their business operation, especially in terms of strong digital identity scheme to develop the digital banking system. So here we move on to the our slide just now. Who are actually the end users for this application, which is we try to emphasize on the distributed ledgers through the digital identity blockchain. In this system, we think that distributed ledgers for digital identity, the end users for this application is actually we focus on the customers, because we think that previously and the current systems, customer has limited access to their personal data, but now they are the one who have fully control on their personal data. But we need to bear in mind that in this distributed ledger, if someone want to do some adjustment to their personal data, they need to have a right or specific note in order to make the adjustment to be successful, to be whenever they want to alter the document. So we can clearly see that through blockchains, the protections of the privacy data of the person will be really protected and bring transparency. Besides that, the end users of this blockchain also we can consider for management operations of the banking industry, where they are also one of the end users who will monitor and run these systems. Next, we move on to the implications of this blockchain system, which is implication for the user experience is that customer can get accessible of personal data anywhere and easily, and the personal data will be more protected, especially if they want to do the international payment systems that sometimes involve a certain risk. Because through blockchain, customer cannot worry anymore, because the system that they use is now more secure, because the chances of the system to be hacked by external party is lower, as we will discuss from the previous presenter. The possibility to be hacked from the external party is lower through the distributed ledgers. And plus the transactions using the blockchain is more efficient and faster, so that any transaction can be done fastly. And move on to the next slide is a core functionality. Basically, the core functionality of this application of distributed ledger is we want to bring the system that secure the personal data of the client, because right now we have several cases happen, like the personal data of the customers being hacked, especially when the customer access for the online banking transactions that need to have the ID and username of the client. So the tendency of being hacked is very high. So that's why we want to introduce this distributed ledger to bring the security for the client, and we also want to reduce the possibility of the data being misused by the banking industry, such as sometimes we know that banking industry are using selling their personal data, so we don't want this kind of thing happen. And we move on to the next slide, which is existing structures. Right now in the banking industry, we know that they are using the centralized centralized system in the banking industry, which is customers has very limited accessibility to access with their personal data. So most of the company until today use the identity system, which is the system that is based on the username and identity, in order for them, for the client to access their data, like online banking transactions and social media, everything is using the username and ID, right? So they fail to provide their like very deep data to the client, and the authentication is really not really there for the current banking systems operation. And move on to the next slide is how blockchain-based product services that we are trying to offer is the new system that we are trying to bring is we want to use the decentralized digital ID platform, which is based on the blockchain or distributed ledgers, which is this service allow the service provider to simply simplify the customer identity management and also enabling the end user to be in total control of their identity. And customers also have total control over who have been accessed their data, so they will know. So it means here we can see that the transparency through the distribution ledger is more than the current centralized system. Move on to the next point is whenever we use the distributed ledger, we can see that the limitation of risk of the ID of the client is lower because through the distributed ledgers, it is very convenient and secure the identity management services, and it's bring the natural trust for security data. And also bank can use the blockchain technology to improve the efficiency of clearing and settlement of the data and protect the privacy and being the fundamental basis to reach many users, meaning that customers from through the distributed ledgers, customers can reach a wide data that they want. And lastly is it necessary for the organization or banking industry to implement these cases? In our opinion, we think that it is very necessary for the banking industry to use the system of blockchain in their operation, because we know that the system of blockchain is very efficient compared to the current system that banking industry operate. So because we know that in the current banking system operation, they use the centralized systems to manage the large amount of data, which is need more cost and also not really efficient, because they need to take like a longer time to process any data, or they need something like to secure the client data in a wide range. So that's why we need to change or we need to improve their operations into the blockchain system in order to protect the customer data and give the accessibility to the customers of their personal data. And with the blockchain, we can know that we can protect the data, and because it will be placed and stored in a safe place. So that's all for me, and that is for our presentation. Thank you.